depths of cosmic time, when the universe was young and gods walked among mortals, a profound truth emerged: the power of sacred vows to transform consciousness and bridge the gap between the human and divine. These weren't mere promises, but mystical keys that could unlock the gates of spiritual liberation. The Puranas tell us that in the beginning, when the great Lord Brahma first created the universe, he noticed a fundamental challenge. The cosmic forces were in constant flux, causing chaos in the minds and hearts of living beings. To establish order and provide a path to higher consciousness, Brahma initiated the first sacred vow, a commitment to maintain universal Dharma for an entire cosmic day. As the story goes, the celestial sage Narada once asked Lord Brahma about the origin of these sacred vows. Brahma revealed how the first vows emerged from the primordial ocean of consciousness itself. When the great churning of the cosmic ocean took place, along with divine nectar and celestial treasures, emerged the essence of spiritual disciplines, the sacred vows. The power of these vows first manifested when the great goddess Parvati undertook severe austerities to win Lord Shiva's heart. For thousands of years, she observed the most rigorous vows, standing on one leg, surviving only on fallen leaves, and finally sustaining herself on air alone. Her unwavering dedication not only earned Shiva's grace, but established the transformative potential of sacred vows for all humanity. The Puranas speak of how these divine practices gradually descended to the human realm. The great sage Vasishtha received the knowledge of vows through deep meditation and shared them with humanity. He taught that every sacred vow carries within it a seed of divine power, waiting to blossom through sincere practice. Among the most powerful vows revealed was the Ekadashi Vrata, born from an extraordinary cosmic event. When the demon Mura threatened the balance of the universe, Lord Vishnu entered into yogic sleep. From his divine body emerged a maiden of incredible power, Ekadashi. She vanquished the demon and became personified as the sacred vow of fasting on the 11th day of every lunar fortnight. The Puranas explain how different vows emerged to address various human needs and spiritual aspirations. The Savitri Vrata arose when the devoted wife Savitri used the power of her sacred vow to reclaim her husband's life from Yama, the Lord of Death. Her unwavering dedication established this vow as a powerful practice for protecting marital bonds and family harmony. Each sacred vow carries specific cosmic energies. The Puranas describe how the Solar Somvar Vrata, dedicated to Lord Shiva, aligns the practitioner with lunar energies and the divine consciousness of Shiva himself. The Santoshi Mata Vrata emerged in recent cosmic history when the goddess manifested to bring contentment and fulfillment to her devotees. These sacred vows aren't just religious observances, they're cosmic technologies for transformation. The Puranas explain how each vow creates specific vibrations in the universe, establishing a direct connection between the practitioner and the divine forces they invoke. When observed with pure intention and understanding, these vows have the power to override karmic patterns and accelerate spiritual evolution. The great sage Vyasa revealed that sacred vows work through three principal mechanisms. First, they create spiritual discipline and purify consciousness. Second, they establish a rhythmic connection with cosmic forces. Third, they invoke the grace of specific deities who oversee different aspects of existence. Perhaps the most profound teaching about sacred vows comes from the story of King Dhruva. As a child, when denied his rightful place on his father's lap, he undertook severe vows under sage Narada's guidance. His dedication was so intense that it moved Lord Vishnu himself to appear before him. Dhruva's transformation from a hurt child to an enlightened soul demonstrates the extraordinary potential of sacred vows. The Puranas emphasize that the true power of vows lies not in their external observance, but in their internal transformation. Each vow is a sacred contract with the cosmic forces, a promise to align one's life with higher principles. When observed with devotion, understanding, and consistency, these vows gradually unveil the practitioner's divine nature. In our modern age, these ancient vows continue to serve as bridges between the mundane and the divine. They remind us that spiritual evolution isn't just about philosophical understanding, but about practical transformation through dedicated practice. Every sincere observation of a sacred vow creates ripples in the cosmic ocean of consciousness, contributing to the universal harmony and individual enlightenment. The Puranas conclude that sacred vows are eternal principles, existing beyond time and space. They are divine gifts, cosmic tools that enable ordinary beings to achieve extraordinary spiritual heights. In the great cosmic dance of creation, these vows serve as the subtle threads that weave together human aspiration and divine grace, leading practitioners toward the ultimate goal of self-realization. What drives a legendary hero to destroy himself? In ancient Greece, even the mightiest warriors could fall victim to their own demons, and few tales illustrate this better than the tragic story of Ajax the Great. Picture the blood-soaked plains of Troy, where the greatest Greek warriors have fought for nearly a decade. The mighty Achilles has fallen, struck down by Paris's arrow. But amid the grief of his death, another battle is about to begin, not with swords and spears, but with words and wit. Ajax stands as one of the most formidable warriors in the Greek army. Second only to Achilles in strength and skill, his massive shield has become legendary among both Greeks and Trojans. Standing 7 feet tall, Ajax embodies the perfect warrior, brave, loyal, and unshakable in battle. Yet like many Greek heroes, his greatest strength will become his fatal flaw. At the center of our story lies Achilles' divine armor, forged by the god Hephaestus himself. This isn't merely military equipment, it's a symbol of supreme honor, a testament to greatness. With Achilles dead, the question burns in every warrior's mind. Who deserves to inherit this legendary armor? 2 contestants step forward. Ajax, the powerful warrior who had fought beside Achilles countless times, saving Greek ships and soldiers with his mighty shield. And Odysseus, the clever king of Ithaca, whose strategic mind proved as valuable as any weapon. The contest between them would shake the very foundations of the Greek army. Before the assembled warriors and kings, both heroes plead their case. Ajax speaks of his battlefield prowess, his countless victories, the times he saved Greek lives through strength and courage. His words are direct, proud, reflecting his nature as a warrior who lets actions speak louder than words. But Odysseus, master of persuasion, weaves a different kind of spell. He speaks of cunning, of strategy, of wisdom in warfare. He reminds the Greeks how his intelligence helped them penetrate Troy's defenses. While Ajax fought with strength, Odysseus fought with mind, and in this contest, mind proves mightier than muscle. The judges, the Greek commanders themselves, make their choice. The divine armor goes to Odysseus. In that moment, something breaks within Ajax's proud heart. The warrior who never fell in battle falls victim to his own wounded pride. Rage and madness descend upon Ajax like dark storm clouds. That night, believing he's attacking the Greek commanders who slighted him, he slaughters a flock of sheep. In his delusion, he sees each animal as one of his former comrades, taking particular pleasure in torturing one he believes to be Odysseus. Dawn breaks, and with it comes clarity. Ajax awakens to find himself surrounded by dead livestock. his armor and hands stained with animal blood. The mighty warrior, who had never known fear, now faces something worse than death, shame. His reputation, the cornerstone of a Greek hero's identity, lies in tatters. Unable to bear the weight of his disgrace, Ajax plants his sword in the ground, the same sword once given to him by his enemy Hector. In his final moments, he delivers a powerful speech, calling upon the gods to witness his fate. Then, in an act that would echo through the ages, he falls upon his sword. The tragedy of Ajax teaches us timeless lessons about pride, honor, and the devastating cost of wounded dignity. In ancient Greek culture, a warrior's worth was measured not just by his strength, but by the recognition of his peers. When that recognition was denied, even the mightiest could fall. This story resonates across millennia because it speaks to universal human experiences. We all know the sting of rejection, the burn of wounded pride, the desperate need for recognition. Ajax's tale warns us about the dangers of letting pride overpower reason, of allowing personal slights to consume us. The influence of Ajax's story extends far beyond ancient Greece. His tale has inspired countless works of art, from ancient pottery to Renaissance paintings. Sophocles immortalized his tragedy in the play Ajax, one of the earliest and greatest Greek tragedies. Even today, psychologists use the term Ajaxian rage to describe explosive anger born of wounded pride. In our modern world, where battles are often fought in boardrooms rather than battlefields, Ajax's story remains surprisingly relevant. It reminds us that true strength lies not just in our abilities, but in how we handle defeat. It warns us that pride, left unchecked, can destroy even the mightiest among us. As we reflect on Ajax's fate, we're reminded that every hero has their breaking point. His story teaches us that sometimes the greatest battles we face aren't against external enemies, but against our own destructive emotions. In the end, Ajax fell not to Trojan spears or divine intervention, but to the most human of flaws, pride.
Imagine possessing the strength to move mountains and the courage to face the most terrifying monsters. This was Hercules, the mightiest hero of ancient Greece. Born to Zeus, king of the gods and a mortal woman, Hercules was blessed with superhuman strength from birth. But with great power came great challenges. Hercules' life was far from easy. Hera, Zeus's jealous wife, despised this proof of her husband's infidelity. She cursed Hercules with a fit of madness, causing him to commit a terrible act that would haunt him forever. To atone for his sins, Hercules was tasked with completing 12 seemingly impossible labors. These labors pushed Hercules to his limits. He faced the Nemean lion, whose golden fur was impenetrable to weapons. Hercules, using his incredible strength, strangled the beast with his bare hands. He battled the 9-headed Hydra, a serpent that grew 2 heads for every one cut off. With cunning and perseverance, Hercules overcame this regenerating monster. But Hercules' trials weren't just tests of strength. He had to capture the Erymanthian boar alive, showcasing his ability to subdue without killing. He cleaned the vast Augean stables in a single day, demonstrating his problem-solving skills by diverting 2 rivers. Each labor required not just brawn, but also wit and resourcefulness. As Hercules progressed through his tasks, he faced creatures of legend. He wrestled with Cerberus, the 3-headed guardian of the underworld. He outsmarted Atlas, tricking the Titan into retaking the weight of the sky. These feats made Hercules more than just a strong man. He became a symbol of overcoming impossible odds. Throughout his journey, Hercules embodied both divine power and human frailty. His strength was godlike, yet he struggled with anger and pride. This duality made him relatable to ancient Greeks and continues to resonate with us today. We see in Hercules our own struggles against seemingly insurmountable challenges. Hercules' influence extends far beyond ancient Greece. His image adorns everything from classic art to modern movies. The term Herculean task describes any extremely difficult challenge. His story teaches us about redemption, perseverance, and the potential for greatness within us all. In the end, Hercules achieved more than just completing his labors. He became a symbol of hope, showing that even the greatest mistakes can be overcome. His journey from flawed hero to revered demigod reminds us that our struggles, like his labors, can make us stronger. Hercules' legend lives on, inspiring us to face our own challenges with courage and determination. What if you could renew your marriage vows every year, not just to reaffirm your love, but to maintain the very fabric of the universe? For Hera, queen of the Greek gods, this wasn't just a romantic notion. It was her divine duty. In the realm of Mount Olympus, where gods and goddesses ruled over the ancient Greek world, a remarkable ritual took place each year. This wasn't just any ceremony, but a sacred marriage between Zeus, the king of the gods, and his wife Hera, the queen of heaven. Known as the Hieros Gamos, this divine union was far more than a simple renewal of vows. It was a cosmic event that ensured the continued order and fertility of both the heavens and the earth. To understand the significance of this annual rite, we need to journey back to ancient Greece, a land where myth and reality intertwined. Here, the gods weren't distant, unknowable beings, but larger-than-life characters with very human traits and flaws. They loved, they fought, they schemed, and they ruled, all while shaping the world of mortals below. At the top of this divine hierarchy stood Zeus and Hera. Zeus, with his thunderbolts and eagle, was the supreme ruler of the gods, embodying power, justice, and the sky itself. Hera, often depicted with a peacock and holding a pomegranate, was the goddess of marriage, women, childbirth, and the heavens. Together they formed the ultimate power couple of Greek mythology. But their relationship was far from perfect. Zeus was notorious for his numerous affairs with both goddesses and mortal women, while Hera was known for her fierce jealousy and vengeful nature. Their quarrels were the stuff of legend, often spilling over into the mortal realm and causing chaos. Yet despite these tumultuous ups and downs, their union was considered sacred and indissoluble. This is where the annual ritual of the Hieros Gamos comes into play. Each year, typically in the early spring, Zeus and Hera would renew their marriage vows in a grand ceremony. This wasn't just a private affair between the two deities, it was a cosmic event that resonated throughout the heavens and the earth. Picture the scene. Mount Olympus, the home of the gods, adorned with golden clouds and shimmering with divine light. The air is thick with the scent of ambrosia and nectar, the food and drink of the immortals. All the gods and goddesses have gathered, their faces a mix of awe and anticipation. Even the elements themselves seem to hold their breath as Zeus and Hera approach each other. Zeus, majestic in his flowing robes, his beard crackling with electricity, stands before Hera. She is resplendent in her finery, her eyes flashing with a mix of love, power, and perhaps a hint of challenge. As they join hands, the very fabric of reality seems to shimmer around them. The vows they exchange aren't just words of love and commitment, they're promises that resonate with the very essence of creation. Zeus vows to maintain order in the cosmos, to wield his power justly, and to ensure the prosperity of gods and mortals alike. Hera, in turn, pledges to oversee the cycles of birth and renewal, to protect the sanctity of marriage, and to maintain the balance between heaven and earth. As their vows are sealed with a divine kiss, a wave of energy ripples out from Olympus. The earth below bursts into bloom, crops sprout in fields, and animals give birth to their young. The renewal of Zeus and Hera's marriage quite literally brings new life to the world. But why was this annual renewal necessary? In the Greek worldview, the gods weren't static, unchanging beings. They were dynamic forces that needed to be continually reaffirmed and renewed. The Heros Gamos wasn't just about Zeus and Hera's personal relationship. It was a ritual that maintained the cosmic order itself. This concept of sacred marriage wasn't unique to Zeus and Hera. Many ancient cultures had similar rituals, often involving a king and queen or priest and priestess acting as stand-ins for the gods. These ceremonies were typically tied to agricultural cycles, ensuring fertility and abundance for the coming year. In Hera and Zeus's case, their sacred marriage represented the union of sky and earth, of masculine and feminine energies, of power and nurture. It was a balance that needed to be struck anew each year to keep the world in harmony. The impact of this myth extended far beyond the realm of the gods. It shaped how ancient Greeks viewed marriage, power dynamics, and the natural world. The idea that even the mightiest beings in existence needed to renew their commitments and maintain balance offered a powerful lesson in humility and responsibility. For mortal couples, the sacred marriage of Zeus and Hera served as an inspirational model. While few could hope to match the grandeur of the divine union, the annual renewal of vows was a practice adopted by many. It was a reminder that love and commitment weren't static, but needed constant nurturing and reaffirmation. The myth also speaks to deeper truths about the cyclical nature of life and the cosmos. Just as the seasons change and renew each year, so too must the fundamental forces that govern existence be periodically renewed and rebalanced. This concept resonates even in our modern world, where we're increasingly aware of the delicate balances in our ecosystems and the need for renewal and sustainability. As we reflect on this ancient tale, we can draw parallels to our own lives and relationships. While we may not have the power to make flowers bloom with a kiss, we all have the ability to renew our commitments, to strive for balance in our lives, and to recognize the interconnectedness of our actions with the world around us. The story of Hera and Zeus's sacred marriage reminds us that even the mightiest and most timeless bonds require care and attention. It teaches us about the power of ritual, the importance of balance, and the endless cycle of renewal that keeps our world turning. In the end, this myth isn't just about gods and cosmic forces. It's a reflection of our own struggles and aspirations. It's a reminder that love, commitment, and the very order of our lives are not things we can take for granted, but must be actively maintained and renewed. So the next time you witness the renewal of spring, or perhaps your own anniversary rolls around, take a moment to think of Hera and Zeus. Remember that in renewing our bonds and maintaining balance, we're not just nurturing our relationships, we're playing our own small part in maintaining the harmony of the world around us.
Picture this, a lush, secluded island shrouded in mist where time seems to stand still. Crystal clear waters lap at pristine shores, and the air is heavy with the scent of exotic flowers. This is Ajija, the magical realm of Calypso, one of the most enigmatic figures in Greek mythology. But who was Calypso, and how did she come to inhabit this enchanted isle? To understand her story, we must first journey back to the world of ancient Greece, a land where gods and mortals intertwined, and where the supernatural was woven into the fabric of everyday life. Calypso was no ordinary being. She was a nymph, a minor goddess associated with nature and its forces. Specifically, Calypso was an Oceanid, a daughter of the Titan Atlas who held up the sky on his shoulders. Her name, derived from the Greek word kalypto, means to conceal or to hide, hinting at the secretive nature of her island home. Unlike the Olympian gods who dwelt on Mount Olympus, Calypso's domain was the remote island of Ajaja. This mystical place was said to exist far beyond the reaches of the known world, hidden from the eyes of both gods and mortals. Here, Calypso lived in solitude, tending to her gardens and weaving on her loom, her only companions the birds and beasts of her enchanted realm. But Calypso's peaceful existence was about to be disrupted by the arrival of a hero whose name would echo through the ages, Odysseus, the legendary king of Ithaca. Fresh from the Trojan War, Odysseus was on his long journey home, a voyage fraught with perils and magical encounters. After a shipwreck that claimed the lives of all his remaining crew, Odysseus was washed ashore on Ajaja, alone and unconscious. Calypso found the battered hero on her beach and was immediately struck by his handsomeness and heroic bearing. She took him into her cave dwelling, nursed him back to health, and soon fell deeply in love with him. For Calypso, who had lived for centuries in isolation, Odysseus represented a chance at companionship and passion she had never known. Using her divine powers, Calypso offered Odysseus immortality and eternal youth if he would stay with her forever. It was a tempting proposition to live as a god, free from the ravages of time and the specter of death. Many men would have jumped at such an opportunity, but Odysseus was not like other men. Despite the comforts of Ajaja and Calypso's devotion, Odysseus longed for his home and his mortal wife, Penelope. Day after day, he would sit on the shore, gazing out to sea, his heart aching for Ithaca. Calypso's love, no matter how ardent, could not compete with the pull of his homeland and family. For 7 long years, this impasse continued. Calypso, bound by her love and her isolated nature, kept Odysseus on Ajaja against his will. She used every charm and enticement at her disposal, but Odysseus remained steadfast in his desire to return home. It was a battle of wills between divine longing and mortal loyalty. This stalemate might have continued indefinitely if not for the intervention of the Olympian gods. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and Odysseus's patron, pleaded his case to Zeus, the king of the gods. Zeus, moved by Odysseus's plight and mindful of the hero's devotion to the gods, decided to act. Zeus sent Hermes, the messenger god, to Ajaja with a clear command: Calypso must release Odysseus and allow him to continue his journey home. This divine decree was a bitter pill for Calypso to swallow. She had grown accustomed to Odysseus's presence, and the idea of losing him was almost unbearable. In one of the most poignant scenes of Homer's Odyssey, Calypso confronts the unfairness of the gods' decision. She points out the double standard that allows male gods to take mortal lovers but punishes goddesses for the same act. Her words resonate with a timeless frustration at the inequalities often present in love and power dynamics. Despite her protests, Calypso knew she could not defy Zeus's will. With a heavy heart, she agreed to let Odysseus go. In a final act of love and divine generosity, she helped him build a raft and provided him with supplies for his voyage. As Odysseus sailed away from Ajaja, Calypso was left alone once more, her brief respite from solitude at an end. The story of Calypso and Odysseus is more than just a tale of love and longing. It explores profound themes that continue to resonate with us today. It speaks to the conflict between desire and duty, the pain of unrequited love, and the sometimes cruel nature of fate. Calypso's willingness to offer immortality to Odysseus raises questions about the nature of love. Is it truly love if it requires the other person to fundamentally change who they are? Moreover, Calypso's story highlights the complex and often contradictory portrayal of female figures in Greek mythology. She is at once powerful, a goddess with the ability to grant immortality, and powerless, unable to keep the man she loves or defy the will of the Olympian gods. Her plight reflects the limited agency often afforded to female characters in ancient myths, even those of divine status. The tale of Calypso has captured the imagination of artists and writers for centuries. Her island, Ajaja, has become a symbol of paradise in literature, a place of beauty and temptation that tests the resolve of heroes. The image of Calypso, the beautiful nymph weaving at her loom or tending her gardens, has been depicted in countless paintings and sculptures. In modern times, Calypso's character has been reinterpreted and reimagined in various ways. Some see her as a tragic figure, a victim of her own isolation and the capricious will of the gods. Others view her as a symbol of female empowerment, a goddess who dared to love on her own terms and challenged the established order of Olympus. The enduring fascination with Calypso's story speaks to its universal themes. Who among us hasn't experienced the pain of watching someone we love leave? Or felt the conflict between our desires and our responsibilities? Calypso's tale, like many Greek myths, holds up a mirror to our own experiences, clothed in the trappings of gods and heroes. As we reflect on Calypso's story, we're reminded of the power of Greek mythology to illuminate the human condition. These ancient tales, born in a world so different from our own, continue to resonate because they speak to fundamental truths about love, loss, duty, and the complex web of relationships that define our lives. In the end, Calypso returns to her solitude on Aegea, weaving at her loom and tending her gardens. But she is forever changed by her encounter with Odysseus, just as we are changed by our own experiences of love and loss. Her story reminds us that even immortal beings are not immune to the joys and sorrows of the heart, and that in our most profound emotions, we are all, gods and mortals alike, fundamentally human.
Imagine a world where even gods must fight for recognition. This is the story of Manasa, the snake goddess who challenged the very foundations of divine hierarchy. In the celestial realms of Hindu mythology, where deities reign supreme and cosmic battles shape the universe, there existed a goddess unlike any other. Manasa, the serpent deity, born from the mind of the great sage Kashyapa, was destined for an extraordinary journey. Manasa's birth was no ordinary event. She emerged from Kashyapa's meditation, a living embodiment of his thoughts on snake lore and poison. Her very essence was intertwined with these potent forces, making her a unique and formidable presence in the pantheon of gods. But being extraordinary didn't guarantee acceptance. Manasa found herself in a precarious position, caught between the world of gods and mortals. The established deities, particularly Shiva, the destroyer, viewed her with suspicion. They questioned her right to be worshipped, her place among them. Undeterred, Manasa embarked on a quest for recognition. She knew her powers were real, her domain vital. Snakes, after all, were both feared and revered in the mortal world. They symbolized danger and protection, death and renewal. Manasa understood that her role as their goddess was crucial for maintaining cosmic balance. Her journey took her to the mortal realm, where she sought devotees among the people. She appeared to farmers, healers, and common folk, demonstrating her power over snakes and her ability to cure their venomous bites. Slowly, whispers of a new goddess began to spread. But not everyone was willing to accept Manasa. In the kingdom of Champaka lived a wealthy merchant named Chand Sadagar. He was a devout worshipper of Shiva and refused to acknowledge Manasa's divinity. This rejection became the central conflict in Manasa's story, a test of her resolve and divine status. Manasa approached Chand, requesting his worship. She said, "O merchant, I am Manasa, goddess of snakes. Offer me your devotion, and I shall protect you and your kin from the dangers of serpents." But Chand, proud and stubborn, replied, "I bow only to Lord Shiva. I need no protection from a self-proclaimed goddess." This rejection ignited a battle of wills that would span years. Manasa, determined to prove her worth, unleashed her powers. She sent snakes to destroy Chand's gardens, sink his ships, and threaten his family. With each calamity, she offered him a chance to relent, to accept her divinity. But Chand remained steadfast. He cried out to Shiva, "O Mahadeva, protect me from this pretender." And for a time, Shiva's blessings shielded him from Manasa's wrath. This divine tug-of-war illustrated a profound truth in Hindu philosophy: the interconnectedness of all deities and the complex nature of devotion. As the conflict escalated, it caught the attention of other gods. They watched with interest, some sympathizing with Manassa's struggle, others wary of upsetting the established order. This cosmic drama reflected the earthly struggles of acceptance and change, a theme that resonates even in our modern world. Manassa's perseverance began to pay off. More and more mortals turned to her for protection, offering prayers and rituals in her name. Her power grew with each new devotee, challenging the notion that divinity was a fixed, unchanging state. The tide turned when Chand's son, Lakindar, fell victim to a deadly snakebite on his wedding night. In her grief, Behula, Lakindar's wife, turned to Manassa for help. She undertook a perilous journey, floating down the river with her husband's lifeless body, facing numerous trials. Behula's unwavering faith touched Manassa deeply. In this moment, the goddess realized that true divinity lay not just in power, but in compassion and the ability to inspire devotion. She restored Lakindar to life, proving her divine capabilities once and for all. This act finally broke Chand's resistance. He saw the truth of Manassa's godhood and the folly of his stubborn denial. In a moment of humility, he offered her worship, but with a twist that spoke to his enduring pride. He turned his back and offered flowers with his left hand, a less respectful form of worship. Manassa accepted this imperfect devotion, understanding that change comes slowly and that even flawed recognition is a step towards acceptance. This teaches us a valuable lesson about tolerance and the gradual nature of spiritual growth. With Chand's acknowledgement, Manassa's position in the divine hierarchy was secured. She became known as Manassa Devi, a goddess of snakes, fertility, and protection. Her story spread throughout the land, inspiring devotion and respect. The tale of Manassa's struggle carries deep significance in Hindu thought. It illustrates the fluid nature of the divine pantheon, showing that new deities can emerge and gain acceptance. This reflects the adaptable, inclusive nature of Hinduism itself. Moreover, Manassa's journey embodies the concept of tapasya, or spiritual austerity. Through her persistent efforts and unwavering belief in her own divinity, she achieved her goal. This teaches us the power of determination and faith in achieving our life's purpose. The conflict between Manassa and Chand also highlights the tension between tradition and change, a theme relevant to all societies. It shows how established beliefs can be challenged and expanded, making room for new ideas and diverse perspectives. In the end, Manassa's story is one of empowerment. It tells us that even in the face of rejection and adversity, one can rise to claim their rightful place. It encourages us to persist in our goals, to believe in our inherent worth, and to seek recognition for our true selves. As we reflect on this ancient tale, we can draw parallels to our modern struggles for acceptance and recognition. Like Manassa, we too may face skepticism and rejection in our pursuits. But her story reminds us that with perseverance, compassion, and unwavering faith in ourselves, we can overcome any obstacle. The story of Manassa, the snake goddess, continues to slither through the consciousness of millions, reminding us of the power of belief, the importance of acceptance, and the ever-evolving nature of spirituality. In her journey from obscurity to divinity, we find a timeless tale of triumph that still holds meaning in our rapidly changing world.
Time halts at the edge of terror, freezing flesh into stone and fear into silence. In the myths of ancient Greece, this was not metaphor, but fate, a stillness cast by gods and monsters upon those who stepped beyond the bounds of mortal reverence. In ancient Greece, this wasn't just a frightening thought. It was a very real fate that awaited those who dared to challenge the gods or gaze upon the forbidden. The power of petrification, the ability to turn living beings into stone, was one of the most dreaded supernatural abilities in Greek mythology. It represented not just death, but eternal imprisonment in a mineral prison, forever conscious yet forever still. This fascinating and terrifying power appears throughout Greek mythology, weaving tales of hubris, punishment, and transformation. Let's begin with the most famous wielder of this power, Medusa, the Gorgon whose very gaze could turn flesh to stone. But Medusa wasn't always a monster. Once, she was a beautiful priestess of Athene, with flowing locks that caught the eye of Poseidon himself. Their encounter in Athene's temple, whether consensual or not, so enraged the goddess that she transformed Medusa's beautiful hair into writhing snakes and cursed her with a petrifying gaze. Medusa's transformation speaks to the complex nature of divine punishment in Greek mythology. Was she truly the villain, or was she a victim of divine jealousy? Her power to turn others to stone became both her curse and her protection, as anyone who looked directly at her would instantly become a statue, frozen in their final moment of horror. The hero Perseus would eventually face this terrifying creature, armed with gifts from the gods, a mirrored shield from Athene, winged sandals from Hermes, and a cap of invisibility from Hades. By using the mirror's reflection to avoid direct eye contact, Perseus managed to behead Medusa. Even in death, her severed head retained its petrifying power, which Perseus would later use as a weapon. But Medusa isn't the only tale of petrification in Greek mythology. Consider the story of Atlas's daughter, who was turned to stone by Zeus to protect her from harm, or the tale of Niobe, whose hubris led to unimaginable tragedy. Niobe, queen of Thebes, had 14 children, 7 sons and 7 daughters. She boasted that she was superior to Leto, mother of Apollo and Artemis, who had only 2 children. This fatal pride led to divine retribution. Apollo and Artemis, enraged by Niobe's insult to their mother, slew all 14 of Niobe's children with their arrows. Witnessing the death of her children, Niobe's grief was so overwhelming that she fled to Mount Olympus. There, Zeus took pity on her endless mourning and transformed her into stone. Yet even as rock, it's said that tears continue to flow from her stone form, creating a natural spring that exists to this day. The Greeks also told of Anaxarete, a noble maiden of Cyprus, who spurned the love of Iphias with such cruelty that he hanged himself at her doorstep. When she looked unmoved even at his funeral procession, Aphrodite turned her to stone, preserving her cold heart in an equally cold form for eternity. These tales of petrification often served as warnings about pride, cruelty, and the consequences of disrespecting the gods. The transformation into stone represented a fitting punishment. Those who showed stone-cold hearts toward others often ended up literally turned to stone themselves.